Oh my lord, it is Sunday morning and we're back. Sean Capri is back today. And listen, we have our gold producers over here on Patreon. We want to give them a little shout out. Our Brendan Myers, James Johnson, Ryan Turfer, Coach Timbo, Nasty Boots and Tammy, Joel Brooks, and Jonathan Brown. And then I just want to give a special little shout out, Bobby Tupa. You've been a supporter of ours for quite a while now. Thank you so much for that. And on with the show.
They're breaking down all the news and they're making it nice. Give Furukawa and Bowser all their business advice. Gonna answer your questions, gabbing on and on. If you like what you hear, go check out the Patreon. The Nintendo Guru, yeah, his name is Bobby. He loves all things Nintendo except maybe Kirby. And the greatest co-host in all of the land. You know it's Sean like Connor, it could be like the pants. If we ran Nintendo.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 178 of If We Ran Nintendo. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by the greatest co-host in all the land, Mr. Sean Capri.
And Bobby, I don't know if that's true anymore, man. I think I've been replaced by another Canardian.
Like the Canardian is...
I think the Canardian just took my job last week, man.
Dude, he did a good job. You know what I realized with him a little bit was he wouldn't let me move on it sometimes. Because he was just like, no, we're not done with this topic. We need to keep flushing it out further. And I liked that. I thought like...
Oh, you did? I liked when... Okay, interesting.
Well, I liked it because the fact of like...
Keep it in mind.
Well...
I know. I'm like,
the producer side of me was like, we need to move on. You know what I mean? But he doesn't know that because he doesn't know the topics in full to some degree. Mm-hmm. Like I tell him what we have, but because he's not in it every week, he doesn't realize like, no, we need to hit these beats. We need to keep it an hour show. So it's a little bit tougher for him on those sides. But like at the same time, he's just like, no. What do we? Let's stay here. Let's talk about this a little more. And I'm like, I liked it, and part of me loved it. Part of me was just like, oh, what are you doing? But he did a great job.
I loved it as a fan. I don't know what you're crapping all over him for.
I'm not crapping on him. I'm not crapping on him at all.
Good. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I got to listen as a fan, and it was also great checking my messages that morning, and Bobby going, oh, he forgot. He didn't know. It's supposed to be at work.
Yeah,
you're like, you doing this? I'm like, I'm so sorry, man. I probably should have sent a reminder, but...
Well, what happened to me, just so we can add full context to this, was you I might have even mentioned it last week. I don't know.
I said the wrong date. Like, it wasn't even
originally you said the wrong date, which put my mind on the second week. Yeah. And then you did correct to the first week, but in my mind, I just kept thinking the second week.
I'm just glad. You know what? I'm glad that it worked out that way because Mark is one of my favorite podcasters, and I love what he's doing on Secret Friends Unite co-op mode with Todd Oxtra, of course. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I got to listen as a fan, and like I said, like you guys have this magic. And for people who don't, you guys didn't even talk about Inkshrike podcast that you used to podcast together.
We used to podcast
like
together,
a lot.
Yeah. And
there was a few people I think in I don't know if it was the YouTube comments or on the Discord and whatever, but people calling back. Yeah. Like when Splatoon 3 comes back, like
you guys need to come back and do something. Mm-hmm. And the thing is like it's so weird when. So here's the thing with Mark and I that's so strange.
It's always been like that for you.
But we can go forever and not even talk. Mm-hmm. And then the minute we start talking, it is just like we're like. That's why I always say like I feel like he's my brother.
Yeah.
Him and I always say that like we are brothers that are disconnected from each other. Like one of us got snatched out of the hospital because we've always been able to like just come to a common place and the conversations just flow. Like
he's just so classy. Like that's the thing about him is he'll never hold that distance against you or that time or whatever. He'll just like, hey man, good to talk to you. I'm glad to have a chance to catch up a little bit. I know a lot of people share my sentiments, so I wanted to jump in and I didn't even you're not even in shoutouts yet. I just jumped right into.
Well, the funny thing is too is when him and I start going, it can go
Sean Capri
it can go forever, right?
I know.
And we disconnect from the call or from the show, and we're sitting there, and then like we're just talking now. Now we're just talking, and then like I see like I know well, I look at the time, like, ain't gonna be long. And I'm looking at the time, ain't gonna be long. Sure enough, I see him, like, look up, because Loren walks in. And it's like, bro, we got stuff to do today. Are you gonna be here all day? Like, what are you doing? But we're just like, and then later on at night, we wound up playing Fortnite together, which was a blast.
That's sweet, man.
So
That's awesome.
It was good. And, yeah, so I love podcasting with him. I wish that, sadly, I mean, it's not sadly, that's probably the wrong word, but for me, sadly, Loren is pregnant, and I know that, like, it's going to stop him from doing further endeavors, because I would love to be like, Todd, Todd, why do I keep saying Todd?
Todd, you're just loving this, baby.
I know. I want to say Mark, like, hey, man, let's do something again, but, you know, he's just, I know that he's going to, like, lose a lot of time once the baby comes, so, which is fine.
Well, for a bit, the time comes back.
Yeah. Well, you know, they're not all Chelsea Capri, I'm going to tell you that right now.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, but Sean, let's kick this episode off like we do each and every episode with our shout-outs.
Geek outs. Can I just say this, Bobby? You and I were speaking just before we were recording. We're just about to end the decade. Okay, we're leaving these tweeny years behind, going off into the dirty 20s, as I'm calling them. Doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Joe After Work is hitting partner. And
I think so.
It's going to happen. Joe After Work, if you guys aren't already following on Twitter and on Twitch at Joe After Work, please, goodness gracious, go check out his streams. He's streaming I can't even tell you schedule because it's just all the time. I'm pretty sure he takes like Wednesdays off, maybe, but like don't even take my word for it. Go check out his, even if today you're listening, it's on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Go give the guy a follow. Go support that guy. He's the best of us. Of all of us, he is the best.
He has it
And
down.
I'm telling you, 2020 is his year. He's on the path, and he is just incredible at what he does. So I just want to give a shout out to Joe After Work. He makes, when you go to his stream, whether it's been a day or a week or a month, he makes you feel like you're part of the family, and he's so excited to see you. And he's great at games. He's a great entertainer. He's very handsome. He does push-ups for you for those little like Twitch currency things or whatever, jumping jacks and whatnot. An absolutely super talented guy. So I just wanted to give a lovely, heartfelt shout out to our boy Joe After Work, who I would never have met if it wasn't for you, by the way. I was thinking about the whole like network of this all and how we all
everybody
become friends.
is from me. Everybody comes through me.
Stop! Oh,
everybody
my
comes
God,
through me, Sean. Everybody.
Okay. Oh, yep, you're right. Everybody comes through me.
Wait. All the good people come through me.
Yeah.
There's some people that you brought into my life that I wish you didn't. But that's irrelevant.
Bad Bit, he's talking about you. Bad Bit, I think he's talking about you.
I brought Bad Bit to you. What are you talking about?
I don't know about that.
I know that for a fact.
Okay, we'll see.
Because that goes back to...
I want Bad Bit to weigh in. You were hanging out in the Kind of Funny group and everything? You're loving
the Kind of Funny group. It had to do with Life of Gaming podcast. That it connected the dots, and we started podcasting together, and then boom.
Joseph Moran.
Yes. Mr. Bad Bit himself.
Poly Games FTW.
Yes.
We're throwing it down. He was on We the Gamercast first. You son of a
was
bitch.
not.
He was my
not.
friend first.
You stop it. Stop it. And I'm the one that approached you about bringing him in to make us better.
What?
Yeah, exactly what. Yeah, what?
I don't think you did.
Oh, I did. All
right, Joe After Work.
I'm going to kick you off of this show and brought him into here.
All right, Mark Caravan, you're coming back.
Although that didn't work out too well,
out of
so
here.
It's whatever. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Iwata. Passed away. He would have been 60 years old this past week. Yeah, so that goes to show you, man. That was way too young, man.
He's so young.
So young. That's a shame, man. It really is. It really is. Next shout out I want to give is to Nintendo Wire. Good friends over there. Meebo Jason. And crew, all the happily candied and Mr. Muscles himself. That's what I was trying to come up with. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Who's Mr. Muscle? TJ?
Yeah, TJ. TJ Santula.
TJ, have you seen him?
Oh, he's jacked. He's jacked.
Oh,
Ring fit's killing him.
Anybody can get jacked, but he's very handsome.
Oh yeah,
he's very attractive.
So, but the reason why I bring them up is they are so close to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube.
I think they hit it. I'm pretty sure they hit it.
Did they hit it? I know they were very close. They may have hit it by now. But if they haven't, get over there. Go give them.
Those guys are going on Ring Fit Adventure on Twitter back and forth. They're like their milestones and everything like that. And I swear, I think TJ might just get some sort of like sponsorship deal.
Oh,
like everybody just buy this game and like he's like this crazy fitness. Have you seen like his training?
Oh,
this guy can do like backflips.
I know. He does this like backflip into a push up and then jumps up, stands up, and I'm like, dude, like come on. Of course, Ring Fit's easy for you. Like,
I know. I'd like to do a push up.
Yeah, I can't even get down on the ground. I can't get back up.
Like my squat is like just kind of leaning over into bed.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
For hours.
Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's what I have. You have anybody else?
I got Joel Brooks just in the last. I don't know what it is. You know what? Since we met, I feel like we took our friendship to another level. Along with Tony Baker and Sheldon Benedict, the Quest for Pixels guys.
Listen, I don't know. Joel Brooks is no one you could thank me for.
Oh, stop it! Oh my God, this is my last episode. Joel Brooks is he's a special dude, man. He's a very caring guy. He's a great dad, a great Canadian, and he's reached out to me just a couple of times. And you know what? We play games great together. Mm-hmm. And if I dare to say, I love him very much.
Oh boy.
And I don't know if you and I are ever going to get around to this idea of like we wanted to do like an award show for like our indie podcast circuit or something. Mm-hmm. But the Quest for Pixels guys nominated. I'm just going to throw it out here. Nominated for most improved podcast of all time. Like have you listened lately? It's really good. And you guys need to publish your damn show. Get back on it. To give you a nice call out. I was looking on the feed. I want another show. So Tony, Joel, Sheldon, come on, man, let's go.
Tony's supposed to be coming. I got to get with him to do another Breaking Bells.
Speaking of handsome.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Two quick call outs I want to give to two shows that I did this past week. Pixels 143 or 143 is a show that good friend from Bill from Run Jump Stomp does. Mm-hmm. It's a new show that he did. You actually bring a game and discuss that game.
So good.
And I did an episode this past week that actually went up. I did it like a couple months ago, and but he's doing it in seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So season 1's out now. I'm a part of that. I actually talk about The Last of Us. That's the game that I brought to the table. Yeah, I didn't bring a Nintendo game. I brought Last of Us, which shocked him. He was actually like, "Holy cow! Like, wow, really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, this game means a lot to me." To me, it's one of the it's a game of the generation, man. It's a game of the generation. It's a really, really good game. So I wanted to talk about that game. And then the other podcast that I was on last week was the Weapon Wheel podcast.
Nice.
Dude, these guys, they need no help. 700 people were watching the stream last week.
Whoa.
Yeah, man. And I was like, what in the hell is going on here? I went back and looked. 8,000 people have watched it on YouTube since it aired. I'm like, this is nuts. But it's a good conversation. And the one thing I'm really, truly humbled by and blessed is, number one, that they asked me to be on the show to begin with. Yep. And this all comes from the Iron Lords podcast, being on that show. It stemmed to this.
Those guys are awesome.
Yeah, they're amazing. And but then they put me on there, and then Weapon Wheel podcast reached out to me to bring me on because of the Nintendo stuff. But during the show, because it's a live stream, I'm watching the live stream, and people are actually like, "Hey, man, you need to make the Nintendo Guru a permanent part of this cast."
Whoa!
They're like,
"All right, we'll see you later."
Yeah, well, bye. Yeah. So, but no, he's just because they're just like, "Hey, he's bringing some."
I know of all the days. He's just like, all right.
He's bringing some insight into the show, and I was just like, wow, man, this is just humbling to be there and have people that are regulars saying that. That means a lot. You know what I mean?
Well, I wish you would have told me that we might have had some new listeners and viewers this morning before we started, this whole thing off on such a tip.
It's fine. I mean, it's fine.
It's fine. I got to reach out to the Iron Lords too, because I don't know if they even realize this. I've met them in real life. I played Battletoads with one of the guys from Iron Lords.
Where?
Like Luke and I played Battletoads at E3. We met at E3.
Which was it?
They don't know who I am though. They don't know that it was me.
Was it Cognito?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we met at E3, man.
Oh man.
Played Battletoads, but they don't know who. Like, I wasn't like, hey, I'm on an Xbox show, and I haven't reached out to them since. But it's been so funny just to see like the worlds collide, because I haven't done anything to do that, but like, yeah, we We've met. We've literally played Battletoads together. Like me, Luke, and him all together.
Idiot. You need to say something to people. What are you sitting there in your little shell for?
Well, everybody else is doing their thing. It's great, man. I don't want to be like, actually, you know what it would sound like? Actually, I met him first. I met him at E3.
That's fine, but that's not the connection between us. The connection between him and I is stealth. And by the way, I met stealth first, so there you go. It all works out.
Sweating in my Christmas sweater here.
You should sweat in that ugly ass thing.
What's wrong with my sweater? It's got Mario and Luigi on it, and it's great. And Lincoln likes to point them both out over and over and over again.
I bought this game yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
This Mario Sonic Olympics. It's all right. It's not bad. Mm-hmm. The one thing I'll say is this: it does have online, so I'd like to probably play with the community a little bit with it. I feel like it's a very Joy-Con type game.
Like swinging the Joy-Cons around?
Yeah, like your motion controls and stuff. But it does allow you to use a Pro Controller. The one thing that I fell in love with, and I'm going to just say this: it's a better. It's they call it football on the game, but it's soccer. But man, it's a better Soccer Slammers than
what?
Yeah, it's a good version of Soccer Slammers. Like it's fun. It's a 4-on-4 with the goalie. The goalie's kind of controlled by whatever. You pass, you shoot. You know, you have a power up hit. It's fun, dude. It's a lot of fun.
What in the world? How have I not heard that people are waiting and screaming for strikers? How is this not a thing?
It's good, man. It's good. It's not like a huge full on thing, but it's an actual. You can play.
I want it, man. I think this is the year I get Mario and Sonic at the Olympics. Olympics are in January. When do they start?
The Olympics start in the summer. This is the Summer Olympics.
Oh, Summer Olympics. What the hell is that game doing out so early?
That's what I said too yesterday. But the thing is this: if you want the physical copy, go get it now. Here's the reason: when these things sell out, they're very limited edition. They don't bring them back out again. And they are. You will start seeing these showing up on eBay because I'm already struggled to get this game.
Interesting.
I had to call around to a bunch of GameStops. I wound up finding it at Best Buy, but I had to call around all over the place to find it. Once they start selling out, that's it. It's lights out. It will not be available next year.
Yeah,
like, they do one run and that's it.
Yeah,
I mean you'll be able to get it digitally, obviously, but that's it, man. Once that's it, that's all she wrote. So
good call.
Yeah. So before we jump into the actual If We Ran Nintendo, I do have another If We Ran Nintendo that I didn't really tell you yet.
Give it to me, baby.
So it's kind of a shout out, but it's a shout out because it's something that I think people should really check out and go look at. So if we ran Nintendo, how would we implement the Star Wars trailer showing up in Epic Games Fortnite this week? So what Epic Games has done has landed an advertising deal or a cross-promotion deal with Star Wars. There is going to be an exclusive trailer in the game. You go to Risky Reels, which is the drive-in movie theater in the game, and on the theater on the theater screen right now is playing like a coming attraction, and it's saying on December 14th, come back between 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you'll get an exclusive first look at a brand new trailer for Star Wars. Rise of Skywalker, or whatever it is, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it's so unbelievable. Fortnite has done this thing where they've done this numerous times. They did the concert last year of Marshmello, which I thought was fantastic, and it was just so cool and surreal to be a part of that and in there. But they do these things that are like these in-world events, in-game events that are just massive.
Yeah,
and the Fortnite community is huge in its own right. So what I thought of was like, how do you implement that into Nintendo games and make that a thing? Mm-hmm. Obviously, the one game that I think of I think Splatoon, right? And I think you could basically set up something where you land a movie deal or a trailer in the opening game. So when you're in the town square, like on the big television monitors.
Oh, big time.
You know, the trailers are playing or whatever. But it made me think, like, why couldn't you do trailers for games as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, and as you're sitting in that lobby, you look up and there's a trailer for Smash or for the next Nintendo game that's coming out. Like, and people could, but you could do exclusive stuff. And what you could do is this. What I was thinking was what if you did something where you went, hey man, you want to see an exclusive trailer for the next Animal Crossing game? You have to go and collect 10 seashells within Splatoon 2, and then when you come back out to the lobby, the trailer will start playing on the screen. Mm-hmm. Something along those lines to get people to play the game, number one, and get them into the mix of playing, but also you have this huge install base.
Yeah.
And I think it's such... I read an article yesterday that, like, Epic Games is basically changing the way that game companies like Disney and Nintendo are advertising and looking to advertise, because this is something that is just unbelievable. The way, I mean, dude, we're really in a world where they're going to put an exclusive trailer in a video game?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Well, that's the Fortnite effect. That's the biggest franchises kind of like just colliding. There's almost not enough mind space in the world for both to exist separately. They're just, one was bound to get into another, where whether it was going to be Luke Skywalker playing freaking Fortnite in a Star Wars movie or this. But I wonder too, man, it's like, how much advertising do you want? Like, if we are on Nintendo, it's interesting to try and like reach customers in a new way. But as a game, you're like, I don't know. I don't necessarily know that I want to just be marketed to all the time. So I like the idea of it being in Splatoon, in like almost like a Times Square type of thing, where it's such already part of the world, and be interesting to kind of almost like an Easter egg, like look over, and go, oh, look at that, that's neat. But I don't know that I'm really looking for commercials to be shown to me, unless I'm signing up for it, like you said, or like maybe it's a deeper dive or an Easter egg, like this Star Wars trailer. We've already seen trailers, we've seen stuff for it, so this is another look at it. It's a different look at it. And when like you and I talk about it a lot when we see these Nintendo Directs, and they're like, let me show you the menu system. I'm like, who cares? You know who does care? Somebody who does something like you just said, goes to collect 10 seashells, and they might want to know a little bit deeper. So I think that might work for me a little bit of just tying together like the engagement, the what you're requiring the player to do to go then learn something. It's like if they're deep into it, give them something deep. But if it's like something that the general public would want, and you're locking it behind like an activity or within a game, I don't know that necessarily lines up either, though. Does that make sense?
They so what they did first was, a couple weeks ago, they implemented the Stormtrooper costume. Mm-hmm. And that was what I thought, like, oh, okay, this is what they're doing, and this is it. I didn't realize that they were actually going to do a trailer. Mm-hmm. So, what was it, Saturday, Friday night, I was playing Fortnite, and all of a sudden I heard, this is an epic testing. This is an epic test. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what the hell is that? It's a voice that came through the headset. Yeah. And I'm like, the last time I heard that was before the marshmallow contest.
How many people do you think died at that moment, trying to like they're in a shoot off, and all of a sudden they're like, "What is that?" And they look away.
I know, it's just like
they get shot up.
I remember when I was playing the one time before the marshmallow concert, and the same thing was happening. And actually, but it was marshmallow going testing, 1, 2, 3. This is marshmallow testing, and I was just like, "What the heck is going on?" That's
funny. That's amazing.
When I heard the testing, this is an epic test, I went, wait a minute, they're doing something. So I actually went into Discord and was like, I asked Chibi, because Chibi's on top of that stuff, but she never replied. Nobody replied. And then later that day, Nintendo tweeted out that, hey, this is going to happen. And I just think it's interesting. I think it's interesting because, I mean, this is the first time they're doing a movie trailer. But I mean, if you're going to do a movie trailer, you're going to do probably one of the biggest franchises there is. You know, next to a Marvel thing. But even Marvel, they did like Marvel events in the game. Mm-hmm. This is just very, very... It raises an eyebrow for me. It just makes me go, where do you start, where do you stop with this? Like, is there other things and there's other possibilities to do with this? Mm-hmm. I think there is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know... And I feel like there's only certain specific games that can pull it off.
Yeah.
I don't feel like a game like Mario Kart can do it. I don't feel like Smash can do it. I don't feel like, Odyssey or Breath of the Wild can do something like this.
Well, okay, so maybe, I don't know. As soon as I think about Mario Kart, or really any game where you're in a lobby waiting, I'm actually a little bit surprised that isn't already caked up with advertisements. You're sitting there waiting for like a minute, 2 minutes at a time. And so I'm balanced between like one half of me, I love trailers, right? Like as just as a fan of entertainment, I love trailers. Like we used to have like a trailer channel and trailer show, like just an hour of trailers and I would watch it. Yeah. So part of me kind of wants that just because I like the art of putting a good trailer together, what that means. But like what I said before is like I don't necessarily want to just be like trapped in a box to be marketed to. So I just want to make sure that I'm clear on that balance.
Yeah.
But
and I think that's where the Fortnite thing is kind of interesting because you don't have to do it. It's over in a certain area of the map.
Yeah.
Where there's a movie theater, and you go if you want to go. And if you don't want to go, you want to play the game, you go someplace else.
The movie theater made me think of Mario Odyssey, where you could just go into somewhere, like walk into a building in New Donk City or something like that.
Yeah.
And go watch something cool like that.
But I feel like where that's different is well, I guess you could because I forgot with Odyssey you can move around and pick which world you want to be in, so that could be a potential thing to happen. But I don't feel like that's a game that has like yes, it has a huge install base.
Yeah, but it's not like
it's not an active install base. Where I feel like a game like Splatoon 2, even Mario Kart, it has an active install base. Even if you were to go like, hey man, we're racing, and on this track at this time, there's a screen there, and you pull up, you can stop, and you can watch this trailer or whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, Smash could do like these temporarily available levels.
Yeah,
I think would be really neat. It wouldn't necessarily be a trailer, but it would be some sort of like tie-in, just to have some sort of event. Like I don't know why Terminator seemed to be like. Everything this year, so I think like why isn't there like a T1000 molding?
Well, I think that like if you took Mario Kart, you took Splatoon 2, my initial reaction is you install gear based Splatoon 2 so much more because you have the store where you can go in and you can buy clothes and stuff. And I think that if Nintendo has any smarts and thought behind this, they get Splatoon 3 out as quickly as possible. Yeah. And they install some type of mode where you buy, even if they were to go like, Splatoon 3 is going to be free to play. And you just buy gear. Like, not weapons, but you buy, like, clothes.
Honestly, I feel like that's, like, the least pervasive method of, like, microtransactions and things. Yeah. Like, Ryan Turford and I recorded the best games of the decade. I'm totally spoiling it. Anyways, we ended up talking about Rocket League at one point. And the way that Rocket League does their cosmetics and their license tie-ins, to me, is like some of the best in the business.
Oh yeah, man!
It gets me excited about Jurassic Park, which I haven't thought about in years, about Ghostbusters and all these other things. Like and it's the same type of model. It's just gear. It's just things that you throw on your car, or in this case, your character. That people want that. They get excited about these other properties and put it in your game.
Rocket League's another one that could do something similar to this. They could just make a separate, a totally separate field that has like maybe giant Trons.
I was struggling with the column too. Like, is it a map? Is it a track? Or
I know what they called it first.
I was right with
map,
you. I was
track.
trying to help you. You nailed it.
But field, but if you had like screens on the outside, and then just go like
there are fields like that where they have screens. It's like a big sports arena.
It
absolutely fits.
So you could just be like, hey, I just want to watch this. You don't play the match, you just watch it, and then you go, okay, boom. But I think that's the thing. Like you're in a situation where you have this ability to implement different things in these games, and it's a way to implement advertising without advertising.
Like, what about like us? Like, why can't we? I mean, this is a bit of a risky move because like I'm not very good at games, but like Twitch.tv/Sean Capri. Like, why have it that hasn't really made its way into games to allow people to be a little bit more known other than their gamer tag. Is that like that's it? But there's not really a way for you to like express your brand, like your Nintendo Guru brand. You can't have like a backpack that says Guru or something.
Yeah,
like
that would
on
be
it.
kind of cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be a really interesting way as streaming becomes more baked into the whole experience, and like the social sharing and everything. We've got a button on it on things now to share our stuff. But for you to be the guru in the game, like I think that'd be the next level for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Now anyways, it's a whole other topic.
So
perhaps.
Speaking of branding, right? So we got this thing called Patreon.com. So Patreon.com/Yumi Capri for you as well as for as little as $1 a month can implement and ask some questions for us, just like Todd Oxtra did this week. And Todd says, if we ran Nintendo, how would you make 2020 the year of Nintendo, despite the onslaught of next-gen news and high-profile releases for Xbox and PS4/5?
It's gonna be tough.
I don't think year one is tough. I think where Nintendo has a problem is year 2, year 3.
Potentially.
Because
that's when the games come out. Is that what you're saying?
That's when the games start coming. When you're gonna there's nothing you're gonna do to stop people from going, I want to be a day one adopter of an Xbox Scarlet or whatever it is called, or a PS5. Like Joseph Moran's gonna get a PS5. Doesn't matter what Nintendo does. You're gonna buy an Xbox Scarlet. Doesn't matter what Nintendo does.
Yeah, unless they're too expensive.
Well, that's
these companies could honestly that's a consideration too. They could price themselves out of our wallets for sure.
And that's possible, but within reason. You guys,
but that's true. It's not just. I'm not just saying that to be contrarian. That's a point of what we can tackle. We can tackle these things on price.
But the thing is like Nintendo is sitting, and I think it's real simple. I think it's a real simple strategy to kick people in the nuts and just go, we're still here.
Yeah.
And that's number one, because these consoles aren't going to come out till probably next fall, Christmas.
Yep. Probably November, I'd say.
Yeah, Mark and I kind of tipped off on this a little bit because Mark was under the philosophy of Nintendo should have done a price drop this year for the Switch.
Right.
And I was under the philosophy of, no, what they're doing is fine. They're going to still... And Nintendo won Black Friday. What
a great time for that conversation for you guys to have, too, because it was like days later, or maybe even the next day after the podcast dropped, that, they announced best week ever in multiple territories.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
So Nintendo crushed on Black Friday this year. And I think that next year's Black Friday is the one they have to be worried about.
Big time.
And that's when you offer the price drop.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you go, hey, man, we're going to give you $100 off of a Switch. But I also feel like this year, 2020, is the year of the Switch Pro. And this is when you give people, this is how you keep it in the forefront of people's minds. You go, here's a Switch Pro. Here's where everybody's happy. Mm-hmm. This is what you're going to be able to be playing.
It's $299, by the way.
Yeah, it's $299. And then you take the older model, you drop that by $100. Mm-hmm. Now you have a $200 price range for the first. So the original OG is $200. The Switch Pro is $300. And then maybe even drop the Switch Lite during Black Friday by $50. And then you can put it back at $200.
$150 for a Switch Lite. Can you imagine?
Oh, they would blow them out the doors, man.
I mean, I think you're in the realm of possible. I don't know if it's quite those drastic cuts, but certainly that's generally the strategy that I'm totally on board.
Now, knowing Nintendo, what they'll probably do is if they did a Pro, they do the Pro for $300. They would do the original Switch for $250. And then they would keep the Lite priced at $200, and that would be
I think so too.
Mm-hmm. But if it was me, if I want to keep Xbox and PlayStation out of people's mouths, that's what I'm doing.
I think price is a huge part of it, and to be honest, like that's why I was like, I don't know that they even necessarily need to be that aggressive on price, because just PlayStation, Xbox are going to come out the gates twice as expensive as the Switch is even today. So that's going to be part of the consideration. And the other thing too that I think is a challenge for Nintendo is that normally when we go from one generation to the next, like it's a clean cut, like it's a pretty, like you're not going to have anything to play on those consoles, but that's not necessarily the case, at least for Xbox. We're still, I think, a little unclear on how it's all going to work for PlayStation, but people can buy these systems with less of a challenge, or less of a gap from one to the next. They can just move on into the next generation. And so I think that is that's going to present a bit more of a challenge for, or it's going to make it easier for people to jump into the next Xbox, which means a little tougher for Nintendo. So what about games though? Because
that's what I was going to say. That's what I'm moving to next, and I have it very simple.
Will work on this Xbox and the next. For example.
I feel like if you want to have people just explode and not even look at the next consoles, it's simple to me. It's very simple. 3 games.
Yeah.
And I would like to see all 3. Odds are you won't see all 3. But this is what I would say. Metroid Prime Trilogy. Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah.
Mario Kart 9.
Mario Kart 9. Wow.
If you can hit with 1, 2 of those games. Because I think, this is what I'm thinking. Metroid Prime Trilogy.
They drop in the fall?
They drop Black Friday, November. So what I'm saying is this.
Wow.
If you could launch, the one that I definitely think they have is Metroid Prime Trilogy. That's done, ready to go. That's the one that everybody's talking about. The rumors are so heavily around it. It wouldn't take that much to do it, honestly, at this point. So that's the one that I would definitely do. The question is Breath of the Wild 2 ready? Or Mario Kart 9? One of those 2 games. So what I'm saying is I drop 2 of those 3 games.
Sure. Yep. I'm with you.
In November, and it's lights out. Because let's be honest. If Nintendo comes out and says, we're giving you Breath of the Wild 2 and Metroid Prime Trilogy, you have the hardest of the hardcore fans flipping out about Metroid.
Yep.
And then you have just even more fans flipping out about. But what I'm thinking is skip Breath of the Wild 2 and come with Mario Kart 9. Because Mario Kart 9 is the one that everybody loves. And I feel like it is time. I every time I bring this up, there's always somebody that goes, they're not going to do... Man, stop.
It is time. You're absolutely right.
You're talking about a game that's on the Wii U, man.
Yeah,
it's time.
Exactly. And it's dried. Honestly, it's dried up. Like I try to like generate some like hype and like I know that I'm not like I'm not diehard. Like I'm not gonna jump in front of a bullet for Nintendo or anything like you. But I think I'm not alone on this one. Like people are just like Mario Kart. Like we're good. We're good on Mario Kart. We need more. We need a different one. We need a new one. We need more. We just can't. I just can't be playing the same tracks over again. I know that they essentially doubled what was originally launched, but like nobody remembers what was in the original Wii U game. So it's pretty relevant.
So I just want to say this to you.
But
I agree and disagree with you on a little bit with
that. Mario Kart's dried up?
Yes. Because
here's an objective fact.
Well, I think you're coming from the fact of you are predominantly an Xbox Twitch streamer. So when you say let's play Mario Kart, it's a little different. When I say let's play Mario Kart, I could pack a room with people. So I think it's the relativity of what you're predominantly playing.
I'm not. That's not necessarily.
I thought that's where you were coming from on that.
No. It's mostly just like, are we playing it because like we're excited to be playing games together, and I think that is truly the magic of Nintendo, and that's what I love. That's why I play Nintendo is because you can fire up a game and go, yes, we all have that. Because we all buy all of the Nintendo games, and that's like something you can never take away. But while you're playing it, don't you wish you were playing something new? Or are you thinking like, man, I played this track a lot.
So that's where I want to come from a little bit with this is you and I saying that we also played on the Wii U. Like we played the hell out of that game on the Wii U. But like I just literally bought a brand new Switch and a Switch Lite for my nephew and niece. The brand new Switch came packed with Mario Kart for my nephew. And then I actually bought Mario Kart for my niece. Because I know that they never played that game. Because they didn't have a Wii U. So for them, it's Mario Kart. It's a new Mario Kart, and it's exciting. So
and it's still selling. I mean, to your point, like really, like, and I say
it's
like
the number one selling game on the console.
It's still working for them. So if we're in Nintendo, are we really incentivized? But I think to our point of like galvanizing a community of like the hardcores, I think that would do it. Like a Mario Kart 9 would be the way to do it. I think they do need it, but it's you can tell easily, even just us idiots talking this out. That's why they haven't done it yet. Like it's not quite as cut and dry as some of these other games.
So here's the thing. Me, as a diehard Nintendo fan, I'm ready.
You just want it.
Ready. Because I've already played the hell out of 8. And you know what I mean? Like, for me to go back and play 8, I have to have that bug to go back and play. And I think that's where you're coming from.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Exactly.
Where someone like my nephew and niece, well, they've never played it. So they're going to be excited and want to play the hell out of the game.
Yeah. Well, Lincoln's going to play, don't tell him, but Lincoln's going to play Mario Kart 7 this Christmas. You know,
because he's got the DS.
Actually, I don't know if he will, but we got him playing Mario Kart 8 the other day with the auto, like, everything.
That's
like,
the best thing, right?
It is the best thing. Holy cow, man! It was just it was great to see because he didn't care. He was just looking up, like, with his eyes open. Anyway, it's a whole different
And he thinks he's playing, which he is, but he doesn't realize all these assists are on helping him.
Exactly. Do you get a sense of, like, E3 this year is going to be monstrous? Like, this year, because to Todd's point, the 2 consoles are coming out. And Nintendo's going to have to assure us that we're going to want to stick with them. Mm-hmm. So they'll lay this whole thing out. Oh, by the way, you and I, shout out, twitch.tv/Sean Capri, Thursday night, the Game Awards. We are streaming together. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we'll have a sense. When you mentioned Metroid Prime Trilogy,
we might get something there.
I thought maybe we might get something at the Game Awards. But we're in for some serious announcements between the Game Awards, the obviously going to happen Nintendo Direct on January 12th or whatever. I don't know. Justin Masino predicted, I'm sure. And then the E3 and everything else in between. Like, it's going to be a great year to be podcasting about this stuff, to be talking about it, and to be fans of this. We're in for a wild ride, dude.
So real quickly, though, Zach Bradshaw at Eggshen8 on Twitch. He also, or on Twitter, I'm sorry. He also left a comment or left a question for us over on patreon.com/YumiCapri. And he says, in addition to Todd Oxtra's excellent question, it is already a challenge for third parties pre-next gen. How would you assure the fan base that 2021 won't be a huge exodus for third party developers? This is a huge concern.
It's huge.
Not just for Nintendo fans, but for Nintendo themselves. Mm-hmm. And that is why I said you bring the Pro.
Yeah.
You bring out something that it's beefier, more power behind it. The one thing that I will say is I don't feel like third-party developers are struggling to bring games over the way I thought they would.
Right. Oh, big time.
Like, you look at Diablo 3. I mean, now don't get me wrong. I know these are older games. Or whatever.
2012 or 2013.
But you look at Diablo 3. You look at Witcher 3. You look
Witcher is the example.
Hellblade. Like, Hellblade looks fantastic
gorgeous
on that game, on the Switch. These are games that I never thought would come over.
Yep.
Now, for every single Hellblade, for every single Witcher, you get a game like WWE 2K17, or you get a game, that's just hot trash in the summer.
Mm-hmm. I haven't heard that in a while.
I know, it's been a while, right? So it's the thing is that, like, you have there's certain developers that have the ability to do a Doom, that have the ability to do a Wolfenstein, but then you have developers that are just really, really bad, and can't keep the frame rates up and all this different stuff. So obviously it's hit or miss, but you need to make it a little bit easier on developers. And I think with Unity being a part of the Switch, that's helped tremendously.
Unreal, for sure. Unreal is a very scalable thing. I don't even know, guys, if it's because making games is hard, period. Like, you start from scratch, you're programming game, very, very hard. So I don't necessarily think that it's a difficulty thing or even an investment thing. The investment ties more to the fact of how many Switches are there? How many people are out there? How many people are playing games? So if we ran Nintendo and we're trying to make sure that third parties don't abandon us, our job is to sell Switches. Yeah. Our job is to keep the trajectory up that the Wii had and keep engendering a community of people who play those third-party games. That it's not just a Nintendo-only community, that these people branch out. So I think that's really the piece of it, because I think like to Zach's point, like, it's a challenge right now, but they do it. They overcome that burden, that challenge, that obstacle, because there's 40 or 50 million Switches out there.
Yeah.
And they buy them at full price. It's not even discounted. It's an old battery on Black Friday. So,
well, the one thing I'll say is this:
Switches out the door.
The one thing I'll say is this: is also we need to push the message to the fan base, you need to keep supporting third party. It is as much on Nintendo fans as it is on Nintendo to continue to have third parties come. The minute you start to make third parties feel like it's a waste of time porting games over, because Nintendo fans, we've heard it years past, Nintendo fans don't buy third party games.
Yeah.
The minute you continue that stuff and you make developers feel that way, they're leaving. Goodbye. So it's up to us as Nintendo fans to continue. That's why they're bringing games over. Is because Nintendo fans are supporting. When they put it on multi-consoles, Nintendo fans are buying the most versions of the games. And that's where third parties are going, hey, we're going to keep doing it. So I think it's a messaging thing. And I think Nintendo needs to say, like, hey, fans, thank you so much for continuing to support third party over here. This is the best place for third parties to be. Keep doing that, you know?
Go
ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say this. It's an interesting time for Nintendo right now, too, because the most powerful games, the most demanding games are becoming more and more exclusionary. It's difficult to jump on into it, which actually plays right into the hands of Nintendo, where the games that the most popular games that people are playing right now are games like Fortnite that run on everything. Yeah. And even Overwatch is coming on over as well. And as we move into a Switch Pro situation, not that I'm always looking for bring old games onto Nintendo, but that's kind of what's going to happen. You're going to have these already successful games and successful communities that will now be able to play the game on the Pro, for example, on the go. Yeah. Play the Pro on the go. So it kind of writes itself. That's just that's it. That's it. But I just worry that we're going to be trying to push 4K 60 frames per second all over the place, and that's great, but it doesn't necessarily mean that trillions of people are going to be playing those games. Yeah. People are going to be in numbers. So I think that does play well to a lot of people buying Switches and doing it that way.
I think right now Nintendo's in a good position with the 4K just because right now I'd be telling developers...
I just don't think it matters, especially as somebody with the 6 teraflops in here.
Not as much as HD mattered.
Right.
And I think that's what... But I also feel like this. I feel like Nintendo can't fall behind like they did with HD.
Sure, I think it's just frame rate. If they keep that frame rate locked, I think that's where people's minds are at. That's the key right now. My thing with Nintendo is I would kind of, on the backside, be telling my developers, try to make it 1080 60. We have that locked. Yep. We want to also try to make it 4K 60. And if we can get it there, then we're even that much further along. Because I think that within, I'm going to say, the next 5 to 10 years, 4K is going to become very real. And I don't want Nintendo to still be doing 1080 when that makes sense.
When everybody else is doing 4K. Because the thing of it is when Nintendo moved to HD on the Wii U.
Yeah, it was tough.
It was tough for them to get it going.
Right.
But once they did it, it was a no-brainer for them. Where PlayStation and Xbox still struggled. Like, the Xbox One to start couldn't get it to 1080, right? It was struggling at 900. And, and then PlayStation, same thing. They were struggling with 1080, where the Wii U was just cranking it out. Yeah. It took them a while to get to that point, but once they got there, it was lights out for them. So I think that's the thing that I would like to see Nintendo work on. So that way, when the time does come that they pull the trigger on 4K, it doesn't take them so long to get there.
That makes sense.
It's like, hey, our games are rolling out. Because that was the biggest part of the issue. I feel like Nintendo needs to look at the mistakes of the past to make sure they don't make them again. Yeah. And that was the problem with the Wii U, was it took so long in the early couple of years of development to get those games running at 1080. And then once they started to once they started banging out with the Donkey Kong and the sorry.
I'm just going to mark that down.
To mark that down. The Donkey Kong and the Mario Kart and the Smash, everything kind of fell into place. You know what I mean? So I think they're, I think everything is... Wow. That's the first time I've done that in a long time.
Wow.
I just like, wow, it just slipped. Just whatever, man.
Pull it together.
So I think that's where they gotta focus a little bit, and just say like, this is where we're gonna go.
Yeah.
So
no doubt.
All right, so I think we're pretty good. I had another topic, but I don't know. We got time for it a little bit. I just want to talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
So this week I did a video over on youtube.com/Nintendo Guru, basically talking about some footage that I just saw. Toby gave it to me. Toby.
Shout out to Toby.
Yeah, shout out to Toby. I was just playing Link to the Past with him this morning.
Nice.
About an hour before.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're
Switch online.
passing the controller back and forth.
That's sweet.
Taking turns on the dungeons. But so anyway, Link to the Past HD is out there. It's in the ether. It's in the wild.
Like a fan thing?
Yeah, a fan thing. Blob Van Dam is the name of the guy that's doing it. Go check out his YouTube channel. Maybe if I remember, I'll put a link in the description below. So
just make sure you take out that swear first.
Yeah, well, that's the most important thing. Maybe not. We'll leave it in there just for posterity. So
your channel's for kids, Bobby.
Well, not really. I need to keep that in there so they don't make it for kids. But the thing is he did this. Yeah, I think it looks really good. Yeah. I'm really. The rumor of A Link to the Past HD has been floated. I know that at one point Nintendo was working on it, and it got turned into Link Between Worlds on the 3DS. Right. So they were at one point trying to remaster and redo Link to the Past. What I'm curious what you would do if you ran Nintendo. We know what Nintendo would do. If it gets to the point where this guy starts to put it out like we're going to make this on emulation, they're going to shut him down.
Of course.
And I think they have full right to do that. And I'm not disputing that. That's not what this is about. But what would you do if you were Nintendo and you saw this pop up? What would be your answer? I mean,
you kind of just have to be ready to do that. That if this moves into a next stage, that you're just you will have to shut it down, and that's too bad. And I feel like you're getting to the point of like, do you bring this guy over, right? Like, do you hire him up? And I think that's a great message, and it's a good PR spin. But it's also like you have to be careful about those things too, because you don't necessarily want to promote that. Because you can't hire everybody. No. You can't hire everybody who creates like a decent enough remake or fan project or anything like that, passion project. But you promote that by hiring these people up and saying like, if you do this, you get a good chance to like kind of leapfrog everybody else into coming on over and making games for Nintendo. So yeah. I am a little bit torn on this, but like to try and take it off the market or to try and make it your own, then yeah, you kind of want to do that. But it's those. You think about companies like Coca-Cola, I think is pretty famous for this as well. Most big companies do this, where they say like they will not even accept, even if somebody says like a show like ours, if we ran Nintendo would respond to say like, we do not accept any outside like advice or ideas or anything, because if they consider it, and then they just either by happenstance or they actually take it but don't give credit where credit was due, then there's all that kind of mess and disaster. So I think that's why they've had to be very clear, and it's just about their approach, which is that's them. We are on our own. We're not taking that as our advice, and actually wherever we can, we'll shut it down. Is kind of the boring, nasty, like legal kind of response that I've got.
I think what I would do if I ran Nintendo, if I'm Doug Bowser and this comes across my desk or it comes on my radar, I think what I do is I try to reach out to this kid. Mm-hmm. And I go, listen, I think what you're doing is a fantastic thing. I think it looks gorgeous. We can't allow this. So, if you don't stop, we're going to have to take legal action. But I'm so impressed by what you're doing. I want to connect the dots and get you with a team that can do this type of thing. And then what I would do is I would reach out to some indie developers that I know are working on top-down Zelda games, and go, hey, here's this kid. You got to talk. Like, that's what... Because the reason why I say that is the guy that did another Metroid 2 remake or whatever, his got shut down.
Right.
And fans lost their minds because it got shut down.
Right.
But now he's working on the new Ori game.
Right.
As a level designer.
I think that's actually what's going to happen is the Nintendo fans, the people making Nintendo things, are going to be picked up by somebody else. And that's actually much more logical.
Because here's the thing. I feel like if Nintendo shuts it down, right, like they always do, they look like the big bad corporation being a jerk.
They have to.
And that's to fans. I don't get me wrong. I agree. They have to do that. But how do you steal the thunder of that? And that's going, hey, I'm going to help you get a job in the industry. I'm going to help you. I'm going to line you and connect you with people that are making games like yours that could use your talents.
Yeah.
And I think you don't bring them on Nintendo. You don't bring them on Team Nintendo unless they're that good. You know what I mean? But if Doug Bowser calls up the makers of Hazelnut Bastille, which is a top-down Zelda game, like, essentially, then you go, or Blossom Tales, right? If they're doing Blossom Tales too, you go, hey guys, how about you take a look at this kid? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of top-down Zelda remakes or nods happening right now. Starbright, I think, is a new one that's out now. That's another one. Like, there's so many that are coming out. What's the other one? It'll Do. That's another one. Like, if you're Nintendo, there's all these games coming out that are like this, and you know that all the ones that are coming out. They've already contacted you in some degree about coming over or trying to get promotion, I would try to connect the dots. Because then when the fans are like, oh, big bad Nintendo, it gets taken away. Because it's like, they shut him down, but then they got the guy a job. How cool is that? And I think that's what, moving forward, I would try to do. And again, I know it's tough because you can't do it with every single person. But I think if there's ones that pop out that like really catch your eye and you're that impressed by the person, you go, you know what, maybe let me try to help this guy out a little bit.
I think if you need it, I don't necessarily know you need to extend yourself. If you're Nintendo, you don't need to extend yourself to make life better for any of these people at all, really. But if they're good enough, they can, like, the thing is that people aren't even recognizing is that they're already getting a leg up over other indie developers or other people who are trying to make it by leveraging the IP that they don't own.
Yeah.
Right. So they kind of have to, like, I know people, they like to attack the big bad corporation and everything, but like, you got to understand, like, these are people who the only reason you know who this guy is because he's making a Link game, and there's trillions of other people making other games and they're busting their back trying to make it, but they're doing it on original IP. Yeah. Right. So Nintendo's already helping them. Yeah. By doing that, by not shutting down their entire livelihood and suing them for everything that they've got. So it's just part of I just want to balance that conversation out. So people are able to make a name for themselves and go like, all right, I'll have to shut this down, but you'll wait to see what I'm doing next. Yeah. And they do have that opportunity to like have a Kickstarter, like or do something on their own. Yeah. But I see I'm making you grumpy with my response here.
No.
I feel like you don't like it. I feel like you don't like it at all.
No, for me, I think that
I'm just wondering how many developers do they need? Like, do they need to be reaching out to people and go like, you're part of our team, or even to connect those people?
I think that when there's, let's be fair, right? In the past 10 years, how many of these types of games have come on the radar? Yeah, that are actually truly things. I can only think of 3, 4. I can think of 4. I can think of Earthbound 4. Okay. I could think of, there was a Pokemon game that was kind of like a Pokemon remake type thing. I could think of that one. I could think of another Metroid, and I could think of this one. They're the only 4 games, to me, that have come on my radar that I go, oh, wow, let me take a look at that. Like, what is going on with that?
Well, there was a Ocarina of Time HD remake once upon a time, and there's a tremendous number of examples. Even the not Nintendo, but
when
Sonic.
They just drop it in Unity or they just drop it in Unreal, like, I don't think that's really developing. I think that's or they're putting it in the Dolphin emulator.
I mean, that was the other comment I was going to make too. Is like, how do you differentiate between like a talented developer and just somebody who's like, and not to say that artists aren't a key part of the whole operation, but like we kind of have to be clear about what we're talking about here. Is this like a game maker, like a creator, a programmer, like a director, or is it an artist like who's making like a really great video? Yeah. Yeah. Right. So it's like, it doesn't speak to how the game controls or the mechanics of it or anything, or how it feels. So that's a whole other. So I think that's kind of like, that's what I was thinking about when I'm like, I don't necessarily know if I want to extend myself if I'm Nintendo, because I can't evaluate and measure any of those things
Well,
based on a video.
Of
right?
course, of course.
So we're talking about like I would say a significant amount of resources to go out and just like check these games out for the return on it, being like, I don't know. We have talented developers walking through our doors every single day because we have already a tremendous process for cultivating our studio. So it just, I think it's, like I said, it's a good PR spin, and that's something I don't know that Nintendo needs that at this moment. I think they can survive these quote PR hits when they have to shut somebody down, because guess what? They're making the number one selling console on the planet, right? You know what I mean? Maybe in the Wii U days, I think we've had this conversation.
In the Wii U days, it was definitely different. Yeah,
just take anything, man. Just like if you can make any story into a good news story, do it. For God's sakes. Yeah. But it's all about context. It's all about landscape and what people think of your company.
Yeah. So that is all. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of If We Ran Nintendo. Episode 178 is now in your ear holes.
178?
178.
We're going to hit 200 in 2020.
Yeah, man. 2020 is the year of 2000 or 200. Yeah,
wow.
200 in 2020 for us. Pretty awesome stuff. Maybe, who knows? We might be
I know. This is maybe the last episode.
Maybe Yoko Ono will come moving in here and just break us up. And
Mark Carabin.
Yeah, Mark Carabin's
Yoko Ono.
Yoko Ono. Check out everything that Sean Capri is doing over on the internet. He's over on Twitter, Sean Capri, Sean like Connor, Capri like the pants. He's over on twitch.tv/Sean Capri. Check me out. Instagram, Twitter, and now Twitch at Nintendo Gurus. That is all. Peace out, Preston.
Peace out, Jeff Keighley.